It looks like we've got a good number of attendees with us now. So while we wait for the last few to connect, here's a quick reminder and rundown of what you can expect on today's webinar. We're excited to be joined by Fiona Price and Patrick Taylor-Emmett, who work in the EV division of our partner Stark, and will be sharing some useful information on the benefits, process and timescales associated with EV charge point installations. Plus, they'll also share details of the government grants and incentives on offer to your customers. The webinar is due to last around 45 minutes, starting with a presentation from Fiona and Patrick, talking you through the ins and outs of a charge point installation project and the additional benefits and cost of rolling out energy analytics. Once the presentations are done, we'll move into a Q&A session, giving you the opportunity to have our guests answer your questions. To help keep things flowing, we're going to keep all the Q&As to the end of the presentation, but please submit them as we go so other people can upvote in case we are short on time at the end. We'll do our best to answer as many questions as we can, and if we run out of time, we'll ensure to follow up with a response offline. This session is being recorded and we'll email a link to watch on demand along with other resources mentioned and summary of the presentation in due course. One last thing before we go into the presentation, just in case anyone joining us today isn't already aware of who OnlineDIRECT are and what we can offer. OnlineDIRECT provide a complete range of energy pricing and support services, including a comprehensive contract management platform, the Energy Engine for energy brokers. We also work with partners such as Stark to provide a range of additional products and services, including new connections, site works, EV, solar, water, waste, MOPS, DADCs, and energy analytics. If you're not already working with us and would like to find out more, please visit our website, onlinedirect.co.uk, or reach out to me on LinkedIn after the webinar. Okay, without further ado, let me hand over to Fiona and Patrick to introduce yourselves and take us through everything a broker needs to know about selling EV charge points to their customers and the additional benefits of coming via OnlineDIRECT.
Thanks, Tina. I'll let Fiona introduce herself first.
Thank you. Yes, I'm Fiona. I'm the EV Business Development Manager at Stark, and I work with TPIs like OnlineDIRECT to help their customers with their EV strategy.
Thanks, Fi. I'm Patrick Taylor-Emmett, so I'm Head of Sales within our EV charging side of the business, work alongside Fiona to support organisations such as OnlineDIRECT and their customer base, of course. Thank you everyone who's joined us today and anyone else who's watching this afterwards. As Tina mentions, we're going to be talking a little bit about EV charge points, obviously about Stark Charge itself, what we do, and importantly, why you should be throwing your energy at EV charge points now. All of this alongside the support of OnlineDIRECT as well. Okay. Stark, a little bit about Stark as a company. We were born from energy data, and this continues to remain at our core. Since then, we've expanded the capabilities of the business into areas that continue to support exactly that. We see the electrification of transport as the biggest change in the UK's energy market since the Industrial Revolution. It changes everything, and our service plans to solve for that, not just now, but in future as well. Okay, so we offer that full circle energy data and infrastructure service. It's our mission alongside OnlineDIRECT to support all of your energy services under one roof. For EV, that could look like a new point of connection for our infrastructure side of the business and the groundworks associated. It could be installation, or it could simply be the operation of an existing charge point. So why now and why you? Firstly, we look at the growing market demand. So in 2024, the UK saw a significant growth in EV sales with over 300,000 new cars registered. That's over a 20% growth in that year. where that places the UK specifically is the largest market of EVs in Europe. Okay, so it is coming. This is in no small part down to the UK government's stance on banning all new petrol and diesel cars by 2030, which will push further growth as well. Interestingly, we did have a small drop last year, actually. So I want to address some of these parts as well. So, there was a thoughts that the early adopters, everyone that made sense to get EVs, had off-street parking, were in a certain financial banding, had got their EVs, and that was done. And that was it. But what we've seen since in the latter part of 2024 and going into this year is continued growth and a rebound in that. That is partly down to this chicken and egg situation of the cars themselves, the growth there, but also the infrastructure. And what I mean by that is not just the charge points that you might see out and about yourselves in motorway service stations with lots of signage, etc., but you're also talking about places like work or leisure as well. So supporting not just early adopters, but that new wave, which is something that that we're very interested in supporting on. Moving on to sustainability and corporate responsibility perspective. So supporting green initiatives not only contributes to the reduction of carbon emissions and aligns with global sustainability goals, it also enhances your brand's reputation by supporting these initiatives. Okay, you will need to start thinking about how this might also affect your customers as well. We had a recent example of, and bear with me on this, of a farmer who serves the largest pet store in the UK. I'll let you figure that out. And provided them with, I think it was about 90% of their hay that they needed for rabbit hutches, etc., etc. That relationship has been in place for a very long time. They knew where they stood. It was commercially attractive for both organisations, clearly. They came to that farmer and said, unless you reach net zero, we have no choice but to remove you from our supply chain. So you've got someone whose business you think has got nothing to do with electric vehicles suddenly is having to electrify their fleet as well. Okay, so that is coming. It is happening right now for everyone involved, and it will impact your customer base. Okay. Alongside OnlineDIRECT, so a bit about kind of like what you can do from this as well is that with OnlineDIRECT as part of that package of services is that we look to offer this comprehensive service. Okay, so you don't need to suddenly become an expert in this area. What you need to do is to signpost your clients to the support that you will gain through us. Okay. What that looks like for you guys is a very soft touch experience for you. You can be involved as much as you want, but you can hand it over to us and we can handle all aspects of it for you. Okay. Right. Next, the big bit really is you consider the financial incentives and revenue. If you could drop back, Fiona, sorry, just quickly. I will get through it. Brokers, whatever level that you're involved in this, can earn a commission on what can be a capital intensive project. So I think if you're not aware already, like if you're looking to install a new charge point, it can be a bit more expensive than sometimes you might think. But there is an advantage to that, of course, for yourselves. But more interestingly, you can start to earn on usage fees. So every time someone uses a charge point, you can start to earn revenue through that. Okay. This also has positive implications on your core products, all of which can be supported by OnlineDIRECT, of course. So I'm talking about your energy procurement services. All right. To do all of that, though, you have to start investing in EV charge points now to give you that competitive advantage. Early adoption positions you as a leader in the growing market, and by offering that solution, it will also strengthen your relationship with those existing customers as well as attracting new customers. Okay, so that was a bit of this market is there. It's highly attractive for anyone involved in energy, and just to emphasize that you really should start to get involved in this if you aren't already. Okay, so thanks. Going on to the next one. Yeah, so I've talked a little bit about the financial opportunities available to you. I want to put that in real terms. So whilst these are example projects, I want to put this up to illustrate the substantial financial gains available to energy brokers through this product alongside OnlineDIRECT. What this doesn't highlight, and I mentioned there, is the potential positive effect on your core product of that energy procurement. Almost every sustainability product available through OnlineDIRECT or otherwise that you are positioning with your client base will focus primarily on reducing your energy consumption, which is great. Everyone needs to do that. The reason for that, what being a main part, is to allow for capacity to support the electric vehicle network. So by addressing all aspects of that, including electric vehicles, is that you're not undermining your core products and your core revenue streams as well. Okay, all right. With that, though, comes a level of responsibility to understand your customer base, their usage, etc. Leaning on the support of organisations like OnlineDIRECT or any other partners that you have involved. Okay, so but to do that, you need to have the information available to you, and that's why, alongside OnlineDIRECT at Stark, we have created this product in minds of not just now and installing and rolling out EV charge points. It's having that wider picture of your energy management piece. Okay. Thanks, Fiona.
Yeah, so what does it look like? So we firstly will send an engineer out to site. This is completely free of charge. Our engineers are trained to look at the most cost-effective and least disruptive way of getting chargers at your locations. We are hardware agnostic, so we can source the best hardware solution for your site. However, we are preferred partners now with Rolec. We are an approved installer. We'll touch on grants a little bit later. So if your client is eligible for any of the grants available, they can redeem them with us. Along with OnlineDIRECT, we will analyse the on-site capacity, and if necessary, we can perform capacity upgrades if needed. We can pull on the wider Stark network to help with that, so we can keep it all in-house and easy solution for your customer. We then will go ahead and commission the chargers. Your customers will have access to CPO charge point management platform. Most of our customers don't really want anything to do with this, so we offer a fully managed and maintained service. So what they'd say is, Fiona, I need X, Y, and Z report to land at the 1st of every month, and we'll send that over to them. However, if you've got a fleet manager, for example, they'd want a more of a hands-on approach. So we give them full training to have access to that back office system. They then, of course, comes with 24/7 customer service helpline. And as your CPO, we will proactively monitor any maintenance issues. So if a charger goes down, 99.9% of the time, we can fix it remotely. If we cannot fix it remotely, we will send an engineer out to site. We can also adopt EV chargers, and unfortunately, this is becoming a common sight up and down the country. So if you've got a client that's got multiple locations, quite often they'll have numerous chargers, different CPOs, different management and maintenance programs, and also they don't know who to contact when something goes wrong. So what we can do, we can streamline it completely. So we can adopt the asset, so adopt the charger, bring it under our operating system, our platform, and our maintenance. They've got one point of contact for all of their chargers across multiple locations.
Thanks, Faye. So we talked a little bit on Stark and our position within that market. What I think differentiates ourselves and will allow you to differentiate yourself with your clients is our view on the energy piece relating to EV charge points. So when you whether you deployed EV charge points already or you're looking to, what that does as part of your wider sustainability and energy management piece is it adds a new point of consumption. Traditionally, if say for example it's a workplace, you've got a very standardized profile of usage. You know when you're going to use energy, you can spot wastage. With EV, you plug in and you use energy when you need to plug in and need energy. Okay, so addressing that through OnlineDIRECT, we're able to offer, as the only UK CPO, so that's a charge point operator, and DC data collector, we can separate charging sessions from the building usage. I'll show you what that looks like. You've got a couple of pictures there already. Through Stark ID and that access granted through OnlineDIRECT, you'll gain not just a very good EV charge point service, which is, as Fiona took you through there, an installation, adoption, maintenance, operation piece, but it doesn't undermine your other energy reporting projects. Okay. So what that actually looks like. So when we built this product, like I said, our background is energy data. An electric vehicle charge point is just another electricity meter. It is a method of passing energy to something whilst measuring it. Okay. I often do the analogy of it's a bit like a petrol pump as well. You need to know exactly what's coming out of it. You wouldn't expect to get to pay for petrol and not understand exactly what's happening. But unlike petrol, with EV, you're also impacting other parts of your energy usage as well. So, as I said, we split out every EV charge point from its source of energy. And in most cases, to make it financially viable, to install charge points, you're going to use an existing electricity meter. Most organisations will have capacity to roll out some level of EV charge points. If they don't, we can support with that. But if they do, this is what might happen. So you suddenly get spikes all over the place. We take that out, give you full visibility of what you were looking at before, so that doing the right thing, rolling out a sustainable project like EV, doesn't affect you negatively. Okay. Just to touch on some of the sort of like customer bases that we have worked in, and maybe some of the drivers as well that you could recognise within your customer base. I wouldn't take any one of your customers off the table just to start off with. Everyone is going to have some need for EV charge points. Everyone. Okay, I think I hopefully put that across near the start of this. But just to look at some of these, you've got someone like workplace and fleet. So workplace, everyone is looking to support their staff with adopting electric vehicles, but you've got to look at things like fleet as well. So there are obligations on companies where in time you won't have availability to petrol and diesel fleet vehicles under lease arrangements. You will have to go electric. And what you don't want to be reliant upon as a business is the public charging network, which can be very expensive. So there's that aspect. You've got education and local authority, again, driven by reporting and sustainability goals. Similarly, in NHS and healthcare, property managers have to deliver charge points for their tenants as a landlord or property manager themselves, as well as any sort of like new builds. There are, for what is as an industry not that mandated yet, with the exception of the ban on vehicles in 2030, there are some mandates within new builds. So 10% of your car parks have to have availability to EV charge points moving forward. So there's just some examples there of within whoever your customer base is, whoever you target, there will be some drivers there. They might not be firm, they might not be legislative yet, but they will be there. Okay.
So to help get those across the line, we have got different commercial options. So we've got capital purchase, which does what it says in the tin. Your customer will just fund the installation of the chargers. We have got a lease option. It's a 5-year lease and it is bankrolled by Stark, so there's no third party involved. And at the end of the 5 years, your customer will own the chargers. We have then got a really exciting new proposition, which is our fully funded offering. This is where we will fund the whole installation of the chargers. We'll even pay for any increased electricity used. For TPIs, you'll get a percentage of the profit of the utilisation profit share. But for these sites, we're looking at somewhere where there's increased dwell time, and somewhere where people are going to spend time. So sports stadiums, theme parks, golf clubs, gyms, that sort of location. Nothing's off the table. So if you think you've got a good site, your customer's got a good site, bring it to us and we'll let you know. If unfortunately it's not viable for us to fund it, we'll give you some competitive other options as well. There are, of course, some grants available. These grants are due to expire the 31st of March 2025, so just over a month away. The government will give us 4 weeks notice for any changes, so we're expecting an announcement on these grants the first week of March. But as they currently stand, there's a vehicle infrastructure grant, which is £850 off per socket to a maximum of 40 sockets. That's only available for SMEs at the moment. We've got workplace charging scheme, which is £350 off per socket. And the one that we've seen the biggest uplift in is the workplace charging scheme for state-funded educational institutions. So places like colleges, academy trusts, that's £2,500 off per socket to a maximum of 40 sockets. So they're quite lucrative. So if you've got any customers that are eligible, I'd strongly advise getting them to have a look at these sooner rather than later. So to give you an idea of the processes and timeframes, so for a new install, we would have the one on the left-hand side, the form completed. So it's got things like just general information, but as well as we ask if they're an SME, so we can add any grant information to the quote, as well as the type of charging application. Is it workplace, public, number of bays required, as well as maximum capacity and demand information. If it's a non-half-hourly meter, we'd ask for a photo of the meter and confirmation if it's 3-phase. For adoption, it's a little bit more straightforward. Again, same site contact details, but we'd ask for the make, model, serial number of the charger, as well as a photo of the general condition of the charger. 99% of the time, we would go straight to contract with adoption. However, if your customer is saying, you know, this charger is working intermittently, we're not sure what's going on with it, we would send an engineer out just to do a health check on the charger to make sure it's all okay prior to us adopting it. So
just quickly, Fee, sorry, I'll just going back into this. So if you've never if you're very early in your process of looking at EV charge points, I'd strongly suggest like the support of talking to OnlineDIRECT in the first instance, because of their knowledge, they're able to point you in the right direction. Some of this stuff you might think, oh, wow, why is that relevant? Everything on here is very relevant, but we understand that you or your customers might have questions on that. So please do lean on the support that is available to you on that to get you up and running. Okay, sorry, Faye.
All right. So to give you an idea of the process and from inquiry to install, as we said before, we want it to be as light touch for you as possible. So the most amount of information we require from you is actually at the very beginning. So to help your customer fill out that survey request form, and OnlineDIRECT can help you with that as well. So from you putting the survey request into OnlineDIRECT, they'll get in touch with us and then we'll arrange a pre-survey call. We'll typically arrange it within 5-day SLA for that one. The pre-survey call, we would just ask the customer a little bit more questions. So asking them around what's the usage of the chargers, how long do people typically stay there, and budget, ahead of then sending an engineer out to site so they know exactly what they are surveying for when they attend. The survey, there's no SLA on the survey as that's dependent on people's availability. The survey typically lasts around 2 hours. And the engineer would need access to server rooms, main incoming meters, distribution boards. So they need somebody with access to all of those to be available as well. From the survey to quote, I am pleased to say we're ahead of these SLA. So we're around 5-day SLA, depending on groundwork. So if we do need to call on the wider Stark family to help us with the groundworks quotes, that can take around 7 days. But yeah, I'm pleased to say that we're actually ahead of the 5-day SLA. And if they're happy with the quote, we'll then proceed to contract and we'll take around 7-day SLA to get the contract out. And then the install then is dependent on when the customer is available for the install to take place. And here's just a few photos of our recent installs. And then we've got a few here as well, some with like cable management and with bay markings as well. And here are some of the brands that we probably been working with over the last few years. We should add a few more to that list actually, Patrick. But yeah, that's it. So are there any questions?
Thank you for that, Fiona and Patrick. It was really helpful. We've got a question here from Marcus, but I think this is more generated for ourselves at OnlineDIRECT. So the question from Marcus was nighttime tariffs included in engine for EV chargers. I'm assuming you're asking, are there any EV tariffs on the energy engine? The answer to that at the moment is no. We are working with suppliers to see if they're looking to do that. It predominantly is if your customer is more domestic, then you would be able to get an EV tariff for any domestic customers. For them, obviously going direct, we don't deal with domestic. But I have spoken with a number of suppliers and they are potentially looking to put something in place. So as soon as we get more information on that from any of the suppliers, then we will come back to you and obviously let you know.
I'll just add to that, Tina, as well, of the fact, so I go back to it, if without having availability of data and knowing when charging is happening, etc. Tina mentions a good point of domestic is very easy to understand. It's going to be overnight. Okay, when you're asleep you charge, but in all other aspects, commercially or otherwise, you just don't know. You don't know when your battery is going to run dry. You don't know when you're going to need to top up. Okay, so having availability to that, as well as support of OnlineDIRECT with procurement strategy moving forwards, because the market is still figuring it out. But yeah, thanks.
Great, thank you. We actually had some questions come in to us prior to the webinar. So I think some of these have already been answered, but if you guys can just answer them again, just so that then you can point them out, that'd be great. So there's, how can we see / monitor the usage of the charge point?
Oh, quickly. So yeah, definitely covered that, I think. But yeah, through Stark, unlike others, you not only get the reporting, I think Fiona mentioned it, on sort of a monthly consumption basis, which is the norm within the industry. You will also get granular half-hourly data specifically from the charge points, aligned with any other energy reporting you also have at the moment.
Great. Is there a warranty period, and how often do Stark maintain the charge points?
So there's a 5-year warranty, and there's no maintenance intervals that are required with the hardware that we use. So we do it on a reactive maintenance only, but obviously if your customer needs it yearly, we can build that into the quote as well. But yeah, there's nothing required that would void the warranty at all.
Okay, brilliant.
I think we were keen to ensure, just like we've mentioned throughout it, is to make it as easy and simple for everyone involved in the process. So it's not normal to have a 5-year warranty, just to be clear. Generally speaking, just like everything else, anything electrical, you get a 12-month warranty. We've chosen to extend that out to the lifetime of a standard contract, to ensure that customer gets what they want, which is a working charge point.
Okay, great. Another question: how soon can I get paid my commission?
Typically around a month post install, we would send the customer the invoice. Obviously, there might be some delays if there's any grant applications happening. But then as soon as we get paid, you then will get paid your commission.
Brilliant. Salim has asked, presume the process documents will be available on the energy engine. Yes, they will be. They'll be under support and support documents. And then the other part of the question was, also will Stark get involved with infrastructure upgrades?
Yes.
Yeah, I could say that. Yeah. So I mentioned at the start there. So if you're lucky enough, you've got existing capacity. So most people, I suspect, that have joined this will understand what I mean by that. So there's the available capacity from your incoming meter. If you do need to upgrade that at all, speak to OnlineDIRECT, and we can have a conversation about our wider services that could include a whole new point of connection if absolutely required, and the links to the local distribution network involved with that as well. Okay.
Brilliant. How long does the whole process take from start to finish?
That depends on how keen your customers are. In an ideal scenario, from first point of inquiry out to installation, we can do it within 3 months, Patrick. Is that fair to say, if not a bit sooner? We know that EV, the sales cycle can be a little bit longer because people are still new to it and they're educating themselves. But yeah, we can, within 3 months, if not sooner.
I think on the flip side of that, Fiona mentioned about like adoption and positioning this as one. Hopefully, everyone's coming away from this thinking I have to be involved in this, but conscious that everyone's busy, you've got lots of spinning plates. Is that the adoption market is very attractive. We can adopt most EV charge points totally remotely these days. So, provided that the customer furnishes us all, yourselves, OnlineDIRECT and Stark, with the information, we could in theory get them onto our platform within a matter of days, actually. So you've got things that might be more involved that could take that 3 months or longer, but then you could have something like that which could be less than a week.
Okay, great. Imdad's asked, any information whether the government will extend the grant schemes?
No, so they will announce it 4 weeks before the expiry. So it will be the first week of March that we will know. And obviously we'll share it with OnlineDIRECT as soon as we hear anything.
Okay, we've got another question from Salim. Do your charge points need to be accessible 24/7 on customer sites?
That depends on the model. So obviously if we are funding it, we would want it to be open to the public as much as it can be. But obviously, if they're private charge points and the customers funded them, then it's down to them when they could even close them to the public and just have them for staff only.
Okay, brilliant. This is quite a long question. This is from Cal. When approaching clients that may already have EV points installed, are they likely locked into a contract similar to energy? Would termination need to be submitted to the existing provider?
So there isn't a simple yes or no answer to that. So I think I'd probably err on it's a little less locked in than the energy market, I would say. Obviously, if someone's gone and installed a charge point yesterday, they're probably going to have purchased some sort of maintenance or operation package for at least 12 months. But what you actually start to find is that it's turned into more of like a subscription service. So you might have someone that's on like a rolling monthly service, but it's going to change from customer to customer. But the key thing is have that conversation. It's more likely they can move across certainly than an energy customer as well. So that could be your foot in the door there as well. With a view on wider services. Okay.
Also, he's asked, are there varying levels of revenue paid to the business owner by different providers?
I think I know what you're asking there. So again, depends on the model, but as the end customer, if you're talking about a funded model, whereby they don't pay up front, we deploy the charges and we give a percentage of profit. The short answer is yes. It really depends on the sites. Different businesses might be more open about what that looks like. It could be sort of between a 10 and 20% area. But what you'll find is you're either going to have someone who sort of like markets themselves as you will always get 20%, but they will cherry pick sites, as opposed to we will look at more broadly at kind of like trying to serve the customer for all of their EV needs as well. So it's a conversation that we can have on that for each different customer that comes in.
Okay, brilliant. Another question from Imdad, which I'll probably answer. Will we be provided with installation cost information along with commission information after this meeting? Yes, we will. We'll provide all the information on here. It's difficult because obviously every project is different. We won't be able to tell you exactly how much you can make. We'll be able to tell you the percentage that you would be able to make on each project. We won't actually be able to give you the individual costs on that, but yes, we'll be sending stuff over to you after this webinar. Then we have Steve Crawford. If the customer is non-half-hourly customer, will they be required to take a data collector contract for their current meter?
So yes and no. If you want to gain the insights to the energy reporting, we can only do that if you've got the metering data available as well. Okay. That said, you don't have to. You can deploy EV charge points without that. I'd just maybe note the fact that if it is non-half-hourly already, you might already be struggling with capacity issues as well. Okay, so it's just something. It's not the ideal, but it's certainly not a barrier for yourselves. Okay.
Okay, great. A question from David Older. Who is responsible for grant applications? Is this something the customer needs to do independently, or is checking eligibility for this included as part of the initial inquiry form, and will Stark or OnlineDIRECT assist the client with the application process?
So we can point you in the right direction. So on the pre-survey form, it will ask, are they an SME? And obviously through our conversations, we would understand what sort of business they are. So we can point you in the right direction as to what is available. Obviously, it's a conflict of interest if we apply for the grant and then claim the grant on the customer's behalf. So, but you as energy brokers can assist the customer in applying for the grant. As I understand, it takes around 10 minutes. It's really straightforward, and they get the voucher codes at the end.
Brilliant. Another question from Steve Crawford. Can you provide white label market documentation to promote this service? I know it's something that we are working on at the moment for our marketing department. So as soon as we have anything for you, Steve, then we will send that out for you so that then you can pass it on to the customers to help and support you. And then I've got one more question from David Older again. What is USP or main benefit to the customer for adoption?
I'd say I think come across there is that one, Stark and OnlineDIRECT's your main USP here is like that broader energy visibility piece. You aren't going to get that anywhere else. Okay, so by bringing it across, you instantly gain insights into your energy usage that you just won't get with other providers. Okay, what the biggest thing that we're having with customers to date so far, and literally every other day we're talking to people that might have deployed one or two here or there, or maybe hundreds, is that this bit what we're calling like an unmanaged estate. EV charge points, if they have been deployed already, more often than not have kind of been thrown around like a hot potato. So they might sit with estates, they might sit with the business manager, they might sit with someone who oversees the energy. It might even be the CEO of a smaller business. And when it first starts to happen, it's a plug on the side of a building, and that's fine. And you've gone out and done your free quotes and done. But what you find over time is that you start to have things go wrong with it. And that's not a bad thing. It just means that you need someone who's got a bit more knowledge of it to fix those problems, and they're very easy to fix. But what you get with us is we take that all away from you, and we will manage that for your customers. Okay. And then you start to look at, and I'll go back into the energy piece. If they've deployed EV chargers already, they will likely deploy more. And the only way they're going to be able to do that is to understand what capacity they have remaining. And you're only going to get that through the support of OnlineDIRECT and the energy services support more broadly. Okay.
Okay, great. I think that's the end of the questions. We don't seem to have any more coming in now. So we're also approaching 10:45. So thank you for joining us, and to Fiona and Patrick for sharing such useful insight. Keep your eyes on your inboxes for the recording, links to other resources, and answers to any questions that we didn't manage to answer. I think we did answer all of them, which is good. And we hope you can join us for another OnlineDIRECT webinar soon. In the meantime, if there's anything you'd like to discuss further, or that you'd like to receive more information on, then please do get in touch. Thank you very much.
Thank you.